I'm STARBORN. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. In fact, if you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show does pertain to a lot of light, because the title is Trouble is Brewing. But that's because tomorrow there is a fabulous full moon at 11 degrees of Virgo. And Virgo is a mutable sign that is the traditional ruler of the 6th house of work. So some trouble could be brewing at work or on your job. And it also rules the whole healthcare field, and it is a mental sign ruled by Mercury, so it rules mental health as well as physical health. And it also rules occupations that are of service to others, such as nursing or teaching, or being a public servant like a policeman or a fireman, or a social worker, or even a community volunteer, because Virgo rules assistance, and they like to be of assistance to others. It also rules accountability, because it does rule proven facts and details, and that's because Virgo rules analysis. And so Virgos depend on common sense, and they like to see things really add up. And if something doesn't add up, that is a red flag to a Virgo. And they really have to work very, very hard at solving problems or puzzles in order to come to correct answers. And they're very good at that. So this is a time with that full moon in Virgo that people are going to want to sort of get to the bottom of something, or really examine all the facts. And the reason trouble is brewing right now is because the facts don't add up. And they don't add up because there are 6 planets in a harsh T-cross among mutable signs. The 4 mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And 60% of the planets are only in 3 of those signs. The full moon is in Virgo, and it is being opposed by the sun at 11 degrees of Pisces, and it is conjuncting Neptune there, the ruler of the sign, and then Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, is in Pisces, and so is Venus. And so these 4 planets in Pisces are opposing that full moon in Virgo. And remember, Virgo rules common sense and facts, and analysis, but Pisces rules synthesis, and it rules things hidden behind the scenes. It can even rule deceptions or omissions, and it can rule kidding yourself about things, so it can rule escape through alcoholism, drug addiction, or sexual promiscuity. These 5 planets are all being squared harshly by Mars in Sagittarius. So those 6 planets are not getting along right now, and that's why there can be an adverse effect on the things that are ruled by the 4 mutable signs. So people who have hopes and dreams and wishes, or who are involved in cover-ups or conspiracies behind the scenes, could be receiving some adverse effects right now from the harshness of all of these planets. Or in terms of Mars in Sagittarius, there could be an adverse effect against the things that Sagittarius rules, such as foreign countries or people from foreign countries. And it certainly rules higher education, and it rules the courts, and it rules long-distance travel, and also it rules religion and philosophy. So those topics could be running into a little bit of trouble. And then Virgo, as I explained, does rule healthcare, service to others, analysis, problem solving, and facts and accountability. And then Gemini rules short forms of communication. It rules youth, and it also rules buying and selling and marketing and advertising and short journeys. And it rules your pals and your buddies and your neighborhoods. All of those things could be receiving an adverse effect from these 6 planets that are really not getting along in mutable signs. And yet, those 4 planets in Pisces are being beautifully trined by Jupiter in Scorpio. And since Scorpio is not just a fixed financial sign, but it rules justice and survival as well, it simply means that justice will be done no matter what. And so that could simply emphasize, since Jupiter is trining the planets in Pisces, that there can be some people around that are absolute experts at playing the poor me role, or they can be really good at playing the blame game. You know, coming up with a lot of excuses why nothing is ever their fault, and they can be seen in a rosy glow right now because there are such good planets in Pisces. But in the end, it simply means that trouble is brewing because the facts don't add up right now. That's what it means when all these planets are in harsh aspect. And that full moon in Virgo is being supported staunchly by a trine from Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And that simply means that there can be trouble brewing because we have to live up to the valued policies that have somewhat withstood the test of time, or the high expectations that people with a lot of experience have right now. And they also represent traditional, not only values, but well-established protocols or policies or legal precedents that have been around for a long time. And so people will have to conform to those. And so what could the result be? Well, the result could be right now that since the facts are not adding up, that there is going to have to be some sort of acceptance that we have to live up to higher standards and legal standards. And if we don't do that, then we are going to have to suffer some adverse effect. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries, for you, what it means is that, you know, you could still zoom ahead and sort of get out of a tight spot if you had to, Aries, because Mars in Sagittarius is trining Uranus in your sun sign. But that Uranus is being very harshly squared by this staunch Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And that simply means, since your sign rules new beginnings, Aries, that there is the possibility that if people don't conform right now, a new beginning could be like a bright star that is losing steam and in fact could be extinguished by the end of May. So if you had been planning some new beginning and you sort of just thought it would suddenly appear, I would say that unless you're willing to conform to well-established legal precedent or traditional values, you'll have to modify your plans, Aries, because Saturn and Pluto are not going to stop squaring your sign, which, as I said, rules new beginnings, until the year 2020. And so this is a time when you really do need to listen to people with more experience, or you need to somewhat bow down to legal precedent. And if you don't do that, I think that some new beginning you're planning is not going to get off the ground. And that is why you might have to make some adjustments in the future, particularly by the end of May, and that's because Uranus is going to leave your sign in the middle of May. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this full moon tomorrow in Virgo is excellent for you. And the reason why is that the full moon trines your sun, and so do Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And since Virgo rules modesty, and it does rule budgets, and it does rule health and nutrition and diet, there is the possibility, since these planets are beautifully trining your sun, that you may find a way, Taurus, to sort of tweak a budget, or maybe to go on a little bit of a diet, or maybe try to do a little bit more exercise to improve your health. And if you can tweak your budget a little bit and cut some costs, then you will be able to compensate for rising costs that you have had to face right now. And that's because Jupiter in Scorpio is opposing your sun sign. And so, yes, you're facing higher costs, but I think if you can be a little bit better in your accounting and use a little bit more common sense on things, and maybe do more things just yourself and not pay to have them done, I think that you can get through this time when your budget could be a little bit overstretched. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, This is a time when, it's worse than last week, Gemini, because last week there were 5 planets in harsh aspect to your sun sign. Well, now tomorrow, as of tomorrow, there are 6. And that is because the full moon in Virgo squares your sun, which means that facts aren't adding up, and some of them could pertain to you, Gemini. And then the 4 planets in Pisces, the sun, Neptune, Mercury, and Venus all square your sun as well. And since Pisces does have a tendency to rule deception and omissions, it means that you have no clue who you can trust. And that's because people are saying things in a way that can be very deceptive, playing the poor me role or playing the blame game, or pretending to be a victim when actually they're the perpetrator of something. So you're going to have to be really careful and not trust anybody right now unless you can verify what they say independently. And then the big problem is Mars in Sagittarius is opposing your sun, meaning that there are some people, even who live at a distance, that can really be out to get you right now. So you need to really calm down and be as quiet as you can, keep your guard up, and really protect yourself this week. Try not to comment about anything, because you'd make yourself a target. And once again, there are no planets in the air signs. There's nothing to support your sign, so be careful. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I think that when the facts don't add up and people are going to be searching for the truth, that's going to be okay with you, Cancer. And the reason why is that tomorrow's full moon does sextile your sun. And so you can have an opportunity to improve your health, or to simply be a little bit more careful in your budgeting, or use more common sense on things. And if you're trying to add up the facts and they don't add up right now, with 4 planets in Pisces trining your sun and Jupiter in Scorpio trining your sun, you could probably get at the truth behind the scenes, or you would know who's being deceptive and who's really telling the truth. So I think you're going to come through a testy time, or a troubling time, pretty well, Cancer, and there will still be more money coming your way. And so I think you just need to be as quiet and cautious as you can, and stay out of other people's fights. If they have problems, let them solve them themselves. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time when I think that you too, just like Taurus, is probably going to find a way to modify your budget in some way in order to cut costs, and therefore live a little bit more practically within your means. The reason why I think you can't do that, Leo, is because the full moon tomorrow is in Virgo. It's right ahead of your sun sign. You're going to see a way maybe to improve your health, maybe go on a diet or do a little bit more exercise, or just be more accountable for things. So this can be a time when you are able to correct a problem, Leo, and that could be just by being a little bit more careful with your money. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, the full moon tomorrow is in your sun sign, shedding a lot of light on you, Virgo, and it is being staunchly supported by a trine from Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. And so, yes, you're well aware that something's not adding up right now. And I think you too don't know who to believe, because the 4 planets in Pisces are all opposing your sun sign, and one of them is your ruler, Mercury. And so you really need to test what people are telling you, because they can be experts at the poor me game, or the blame game, or making wonderful excuses. And yet, what's behind the excuse, and what is the real truth? That is something that you're going to have to dig deep to find out. And there could be a whole lot of people that don't want you to know that right now, Virgo, because not only are the 4 planets in Pisces opposing your sun, but Mars is squaring it. And so there can be people that are jealous or envious of you right now, and they would do just about anything to trip you up. So this is a time when you have to rely on people who are older and more experienced, who do have high expectations, because you can meet those. And also this is a time to rely on proven facts and details, or trustworthy legal precedents and policies. And stick to that, and sort of tune out everybody else, Virgo, because you can't trust them. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, I think that this is a time with that full moon in Virgo right behind your sun sign tomorrow, that there could be a lot of light in the background of your life. And it can be centering on a health issue. So maybe you'll have an opportunity to improve your health. And also it could be centering on facts or budgets or details. And if something isn't adding up right now in the background of your life, Libra, you need to pay attention to that, because that full moon in Virgo is being well aspected by Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn. But those two planets are actually squaring your sun. So you need to pay attention to policies or procedures or people in high places that may be demanding quite a bit of you, Libra, and it could be a little hard to meet their higher expectations, but I don't see any way out of it. There are no planets in the other air signs to fortify your sign. So I think that you're really going to have to conform to the pressure that other people are putting on you right now. Just at the same time, they have to be reputable people, not people that are giving you a whole bunch of excuses or possibly lying to you. So you need to be careful in what you do right now. But behind the scenes, I think you can involve yourself in some sort of self-improvement, and that could work out well for you. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time that you can benefit from the work that other people are doing, particularly the analysis of facts. And that is because the full moon in Virgo is sextiling your sun, which is good because it's being trine by Saturn and Pluto in Capricorn, and they too are sextiling your sun. That is great for you. It means that the other people around you who are trying to get to the bottom of something or trying to examine facts, and also who have very high expectations or demands that are based on legal precedents or policies, those people can be of help to you in trying to administer justice in one way or another. And that's because Jupiter in your sign is trining all of the planets in Pisces, and there's 4 of them there. So if you were on a fact-finding mission, you could get help with that. And as more and more truth comes out, you could make sure that justice was done. And that justice would have something to do with exposing people behind the scenes who have always offered to cover up for each other, or who are involved in conspiracies, or who are just good at lying. In other words, playing the poor me game or the blame game. As long as you're happy to be instrumental in helping to expose these people so that we do know the truth when it comes out, then you'll be on the side of the angels, justice can be done, and then we can all heal from that. But if instead you're a member of a conspiracy or you're involved in a cover-up, I would say, Scorpio, that people who are looking at the facts and realizing that they don't add up could be closing in on you a little bit. So it just depends on whether you're on the side of the angels or you've been hiding something, because if you've been hiding something, it's not going to stay hidden much longer. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, this is a time, remember when I said with the 6 planets in the mutable signs, and yours is a mutable sign, could be suffering adverse effects because of the harshness of the T-square and all these planets opposing or squaring each other. Well, 5 planets are squaring your sun sign, Sagittarius, because the 4 planets in Pisces are squaring your sun. So you too do not know who to trust, because you don't know if somebody is just being a really good liar and deceiving you, or if there can be some gaps in their stories that can allow the truth to rise to the surface. And so you have to be extra careful in the facts that you're believing, because I think some of them are not going to be true. And also, the full moon in Virgo is squaring your sun as well, and Mars is in your sun sign. The moon rules our emotions, and Mars likes to stir things up. And so you have to sort of keep a lid on your emotions if you can this week, Sagittarius, because they could be easily aroused, and then you may walk into more trouble than it's worth right now. And that's because so many planets are squaring your sun sign. And so yes, Uranus in Aries is trining your sun, but it too is a malefic planet, and it is under severe duress right now. So if you are involved in some sort of new beginning that you are really sure is going to get off the ground, I would say check your facts, because it looks to me like a new beginning is actually running out of steam. And it may be completely extinguished by the end of May, simply because it does not conform to high expectations or trustworthy legal precedent. And so you have to be very, very careful what you do right now, Sagittarius, because you could step on something that could just blow up in your face if you get involved in it. Maybe it would be better to be a little bit more cautious right now and wait and see what happens to other people before you decide to trust them, because it looks to me like you might experience an adverse effect from even other people's deceptions or from facts not adding up this week. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, you are in an enviable spot, and that is because the full moon tomorrow in Virgo is trining your sun, and that is where you have Saturn and Pluto. And so since the facts really are not adding up right now, and people have to dig deep to find the truth or to expose imposters or a cover-up, that is something that you might want to help out with a little bit. And that is because the planets in your sign sextile the planets in Pisces, and they trine the full moon in Virgo. So you may be involved in some sort of fact-finding mission, or being very, very careful to follow every single step and not skip any of them. And that is your nature anyway, Capricorn. So actually you can be quite helpful. Maybe you just want to improve your health. Maybe you want to do a little more dieting or exercise. Maybe you want to balance your bank book a little bit better. That's fine. But also I think you're going to be able to help expose the truth behind the scenes. It may be the truth about a cover-up or a conspiracy, but once that gets out, we'll be able to have the facts add up, we'll know what the truth is, and then we'll be able to deal with it. And everyone will be better for that. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, this is a time, since there are no planets in any of the air signs, when you too need to be a little bit careful, and it could certainly be that you might be a little bit over-optimistic about the availability of financial resources, and that's because Jupiter in Scorpio is squaring your sun. So you might have been spending a little bit too much money lately, and that could get you in a little bit of trouble, because actually the full moon in Virgo tomorrow is 150 degrees away from your sun sign, or in conjunct. And that means you may not be affected, or you may not be too worried about whether facts add up or not right now. But you should be worried about any kind of financial imbalance in your record keeping, because you would need to sort of address that. So I would take a look at all financial matters that you are connected with, Aquarius, because something could draw on your financial resources that you hadn't been counting on, and that is because your own ruler, Aquarius, Uranus, is being harshly aspected right now. So I hope you've been doing everything right and following good policy, because then you wouldn't get any nasty financial surprises, but you still should be a little bit careful right now. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, you know, the full moon in Virgo is exactly opposing your sun sign. So it's opposing the Sun, Mercury, Neptune, and Venus in your sign, and Mars in Sagittarius is squaring your sun sign. So you probably are going to feel an adverse effect from this harsh T-cross of 6 planets in mutable signs, because 4 of them are in your sign. And that means you've got to go over the facts much more carefully, Pisces. You know, Pisces are very good at synthesis, not at analysis. And this is a time when, since the facts don't add up, you've got to be very careful that you are completely sincere and honest in everything that you are saying, because that's the only way that you can help justice to be done. But if you've been hiding anything or covering up or involved in a conspiracy or playing the poor me role or the blame game, you could be in a little bit of trouble right now, Pisces. And that's why, you know, better late than never, I hope that you instead are really helpful in seeing that justice is done. And if there's an imposter around, Try not to go down that path and follow them. Instead, try to be as honest and upright as you can. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show on our website, and you can hear our podcast and read our blog on starborninstitute.org. Bye.